My first experience was when I was 8, as a young lady diagnosed with thalassemia. My life expectancy was age 10. As an 8-year-old, all I could think about was, will I ever go back to 2nd grade? I was on the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I wanted to see Michael Jackson and go to Disneyland, but I really just wanted to go to 3rd grade.
As a young girl growing up in the south side of Chicago, I remember my mother asking me to hop a fence and steal a tomato at Miss Littlebit's house. And it wasn't like we didn't know Miss Littlebit. She was my grandmother's best friend. She gave us tomatoes and greens and onions all the time, but I knew the routine. She would ask, I would hop that fence, and I'd pick that tomato with a twist because I couldn't damage the plant. And then I would be the one in the kitchen rinsing it and slicing it thin to get ready to cook for Friday. I knew Friday was coming. Community members would come over because you have fish on Friday with tomatoes. And you'd be like, yay, this is how we would eat. And we were grateful. I left Chicago because I grew up and I had children. And my goal for my children was to make sure that they were healthy, of course. I wanted their basic needs to be met. I wanted to make sure that they had a calico of culture to experience. And I also wanted to make sure they had access to fresh air, clean water, and good food. So I uprooted my family and I took upon the baton of my ancestors to travel north looking for opportunities. I had to see what in the rest of the world was going on beyond Chicago. Minnesota allowed me to work in the field of early childhood education, HIV prevention, career counseling, re-entry, and I lived in North Minneapolis, which turned to look a lot like the city of Chicago. July 4th, 2010 is when trauma hit our family. I had received a phone call, and this call was telling me that my 16-year-old son, Anthony, had been hit by a bullet that wasn't intended for him. I lost my son, Anthony Titus, on the 4th of July, 2010, right before the fireworks. My emotions come from my thoughts. I think about missing my son, and it makes me feel like I miss him, and I feel lonely, and I feel without, and I feel anger, and I feel disappointment, and then that can come out in my actions. And hurt people hurt people. Anthony had only been 16 for 2 weeks, and this was my first time really letting him travel the neighborhood on his own, and he didn't survive. Now, trauma will do a couple of things to you, but at this time I realized it was causing me to reevaluate how I spend my time. So as my son had transitioned from this earth, I also watched my garden in my backyard die, and I did not want to go back to growing food. I wanted to gamble, I wanted to shop, I wanted to drink, because that's what you do, right? That's what I saw on TV. So I was like, that's what I'm gonna do.
Facing morality has made me really look at the fact of the narratives that we carry and the way we value or disvalue life. I believe the secrets keep us sick. Why are we not speaking what's going on in the inside? All of those things take away dreams and possibilities and hopes. And like you said, questions and conversations that we don't get to have. But it makes you hold near and dear to your choice to be topside. Because I could have just crawled under a rock and died when Anthony left me. I can't have people see Miss Princess say that she forgives the young man who took her son away from her 2 weeks after his 16th birthday. But that's exactly what I need kids to see, that I've forgiven them. I have a whole bunch of people I'm mad at and I'm angry with, and you're one of them. And I miss him, and I'm frustrated, and I don't want to go on. And I brush my teeth with oregano spirits, and I wash my face in the mirror, and I paint my war paint on my face to represent every prayer and every supplication and everything that I desire and need, and messages to him and my dad and my grandmother who are not here in the physical to help me. And I put my glasses on and I go out into my community and they say, "Hey, what's that on your face?" And I said, "This is my war paint." And they say, "What are you fighting against?" And sometimes I'm fighting against living because I feel like it might be easier to die. But then I decide through my thoughts that I'm going to fight against dying because it's coming. So I'm just going to choose to live.
I said I've forgiven them, and just to say that lightened my heart. But then there's a release, and then there may be another squeeze and a release. And I think of it as a spiritual massage, and that's healing.
Hi, I'm Princess, Anthony's mom. Anthony chose to be a donor at the age of 16. 2 weeks later, Anthony lost his life to gun violence. I'm grateful for community, the community of mothers that I heal with, the community at Life Source that gives me an opportunity to see how Anthony's loss was able to give other people life. It actually gives me hope. Being in community or having that common unity with other people is what I'm grateful for this season.
Hoping that the services that we've offered Standard Edition Women to families who haven't had anybody support them during the times of loss of a child's life, not even just from gun violence, substance use disorder, and self-harm, but young people who are estranged, or women who've lost children to adoption or abortions. Really hard for the mother to have that type of support that can create a healing environment in the home that will actually impact the community.
Every time you say you're depressed, it creates the Mississippi River in your mind. This is physiology. This is not your personality. She said, "Now what you doing?" I said, "Now I'm drawing a river of 80 lines." Because you have to think twice as many times what you're grateful for, what you're appreciating, in order to get that water and that muddiness out that river of depression and suicide into that river of celebration and gratitude for your life. Because it's physiology. Like, you built that reservoir of that feeling, that emotion, that sadness. We know it's that big, but you got to think a new thought, do a new thing. Open the door with your left hand instead of your right. Put your left shoe on first instead of your right. Turn your bed around in your room. Drink your water before you eat. You have to do new things to create a new space in your brain to plant those new seeds. And that's the scripture. Something about where you plant the seeds. Is the soil good? Is it dry? Is they just scattered and the birds gonna eat them? You gotta dig. And you gotta say, "I am grateful. I know I lost my whatever, but I'm grateful. I'm here. I smell good. I'm smart. I believe in myself. People say they love me. I love me. I know how to cook. I know how to read. I learned how to write. I'm strong. My legs are strong. My feet are strong. I can see. I can touch. I can impact others. 80 times of that will lessen your brain from going straight to depression, self-harm, feeling bad, self-loathing, and feeling bad. So attach that great idea, that one part, that seed. You only need a mustard seed of faith. You put something with that mustard seed to attach it with. Maybe it's when you go to the bathroom and you're gonna sit there, and instead of being on your phone, you're gonna rub your feet and say, "Man, thank you, feet. These feet have taken me a long way. Man, I love these feet." With the chip polish and everything. Love them feet every morning, and it'll take you away from that feeling of where that path you've been on that may have hurt. Thank you for listening.